All right, I'm back, and I'm with Mr. Perry Red. Mr. Red, how you doing?
I'm doing well today, sir.
Could you give us a little background on yourself and speak a little bit about this statehood issue?
Statehood, yeah, I think that was the first thing you asked about. So, real briefly, Washington, D.C., although it has more residents than more citizens in the state, in D.C. than Wyoming or Vermont, Washington, D.C. is still not a state. And so the residents of Washington, D.C., the vast majority, are seeking statehood. Washington, D.C. doesn't have voting rights on Capitol Hill, where every state in the union has two senators and at least one, two senators and at least one representative. And unfortunately, Washington, D.C. doesn't have two senators, but it does have one representative. And in our case, our representative doesn't even have voting rights. And so one of the things that we're seeking to do is not only get voting representation in Congress, but we're also seeking full representation and statehood, whereas we have autonomy over our budget, where we have autonomy over all the decisions that are made at the state level, just like any other state.
Right.
And so in essence, Washington, D.C. is a colony. So what the citizens of Washington, D.C. are seeking is full statehood, full voting representation. I'm a member of the D.C. Statehood Green Party because the Green Party doesn't compromise on the issue of statehood. Where many in the city, they are only seeking voting representation, and they'll take that as a compromise. In our case, D.C. Statehood Greens are uncompromising on the issue of colonization. Sometimes I equate it to Israel and Palestine, and that's a really heavy equation that I make, an analogy that I draw. But I make that with full justification that we're operating as an occupied colony. So we seek to change that. Right now, I'm a candidate for D.C. City Council at large. I'm the only candidate in the race that's a previously convicted person. And as a returning citizen, I am still disenfranchised, much like D.C. And we're seeking to get someone on City Council that speaks for the over 70,000 returning citizens, their families, someone who speaks to their issues. Right now we have a City Council that ignores the human rights of those who are returning from doing their time in prisons, in jails, or whatever the case may be. But people in the city who come back, they don't have full access to housing, education, nor do they have full access to employment. So that's one of the platform planks that I stand on. As a D.C. Statehood Green, we don't take corporate money. We fight for the people, we speak for the people, and we work with the people. And that's what our campaign's about. It's different from any other campaign.
Right.
We're different from any other candidate in the race, but intentionally so. I'm Perry Red, and I'm a candidate for D.C. City Council at large.
Appreciate it, Mr. Red. Appreciate
Yes, sir.
it, Perry.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.